Hi guys, it's Mr. Lake again. I'm back in the banks of the Mississippi, actually standing on what's called a levee. A levee is a man-made berm that helps protect the city from flooding. But what happens when it floods? The Mississippi floods quite a bit, and when it does, it actually reshapes the land. On your worksheet, there's a reading about erosion. I'd like you to take a look at that and read about that. When you're done with that, I want you to watch this short video that's also linked on your worksheet. It talks about levees and spillways and how we try to protect cities from flooding. So learn a bunch about floodplains, learn a bunch about levees, and then we'll come back and talk about it. You'll notice several features behind me. Along the Mississippi, you're going to see that there was a wall that people have built to help with flooding. The Mississippi does periodically flood. Sometimes the floods get really big, but I'm going to save that for a later lesson. I also want you to notice how on the edges of town here, right off of the Mississippi, we have large hills. Almost like on both sides of the Mississippi, there are hills that lead down to the Mississippi. That's actually called a floodplain. And when the Mississippi rises and overflows its banks, it actually takes dirt and soil and rocks along with it. And it kind of etches out a basin or a place where the Mississippi can go. So you'll notice that if you live in this town, you got to go down some pretty steep hills in order to get down by the river. If you live across the river in Rock Island, it's the same thing. You have to go up some very steep hills the farther you get away from the Mississippi. This is due to something called erosion.